Welcome to the Fractional Diaries series by Project Brains. Here we explore the dynamic landscape of the future of work. Join us and our expert guests as we unravel the evolving corporate world and the booming startup spaces. At Project Brains, we specialize in helping ambitious businesses scale. Our team is dedicated to matching experienced professionals with businesses who wish to realize value on a fractional basis. Ultimately, with a little time, focused fractional specialists aim to solve business pain points and remove growth barriers. Today, we are talking to Susan Gibson. Sue is a HR consultant that provides flexible and practical support to boards, management teams, HR teams, VCs, and line managers for over 14 years. She has extensive experience in global HR management, change management, strategic HR leadership across various sectors, including technology, education, legal, and manufacturing. She is also a governor at the St. Mary's Girls' School in Cambridge, where her role contributes to the strategic direction and governance of the school. Sue is passionate about working with senior leaders and teams to create great places to work and to attract and retain talent. She also has extensive experience running an HR team within a large corporate such as Asda. In her experience, she has been involved in a number of startup projects, assisted leadership teams with the people and talent strategies, setting up offices globally, understanding how to incorporate different styles of working and to create innovative cultures to engage and retain your staff. Sue has also facilitated and developed strategic learner and development programs for leaders and managers and coached senior executives on HR issues. Finally, in her career, she has also successfully completed due diligences and exit processes for businesses leading the HR requirements and communication needs. Welcome, Sue. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
It's going to be a great conversation. So let's start this sort of conversation with a little bit about your experience working with companies. And I know that when we met initially, you had quite a bit of experience with successful stories of finding the right people and the right talent. Tell me a little bit about your general experience.
I suppose it comes from in the industry quite some time. And latterly, I've worked a lot with startups, and that means when you talk about companies, for me, it's all around the leaders. You know, who is the leader of the company? Because they actually have a huge influence on the way that the company is shaped. And so, for me, I'm very passionate about ensuring that whoever I work with is the leader, and that can be in a startup. It can be a founder who has a technical background, may not have the skills of managing a large team or growing a team. So I guess where I help and facilitate is bringing that level of experience to them so they can think about how they select the right people. Because quite often you'll go into a startup that maybe I deal with people who've got 4 or 5 people on the team, sometimes it's more than that, and they may have got great technical people that is absolutely needed to get that team going. They're really passionate about what they're doing. They've done everything themselves. They've got a really close working relationship, but now they're looking to bring on other people to create a larger business. And I think at that point, it's about clarity of vision. What is it that they want to do? And also, those leaders of those companies wanting to bring in the right talent, you can't just clone yourself and bring in the same person. It is recognizing you need different sets of skills to help grow your team. And I guess that's where I bring my expertise and my coaching style to get them to think differently. It is about getting smart people on your team. You have to get really good people on your team. And you want to think about what makes a high-performing team and what type of skills, but not just the skills, but the behaviours and the styles that you want. Some companies have, at that point, they've already established their values and what's important to them, bringing people in. And it's sort of getting that out from those leaders in those companies as to what they will value in a new person joining. But I think the other thing sometimes they forget is you want people who are really, really capable, got the right attitude, completely flexible, they're agile and they're not afraid to roll their sleeves up, and they don't necessarily have ticking all of the right technical boxes as they perceive them. So it's getting them to think about taking a bit of a risk, but making sure you get smart people. Equally, if you've got the wrong person on your bus early on in your team, it's about how you make sure that you have the right conversations and maybe taking really tough decisions and exiting those people, which is always a difficult one for people to take early on.
Yeah,
so it's a real mix.
Indeed. I mean, I'm also thinking in the startup space, it's not a deliberate kind of practice, right? To think about who do I need in my team to make my sort of business move forward in a way. Startups are sort of kind of used to almost organically building that team in the beginning, but then as business becomes a little bit more stronger and it grows a bit, these new practices need to come into the thought process of the founders and the business leaders. So maybe if you can share some of your experiences in areas where, let's say, business leaders forget to focus on, like, you know, what are the typical things that I would say leaders don't necessarily think about that you've seen in your work?
I think, you know, going to a slightly larger organisation, when they have, you know, they've got people doing all the things they need them to do, they've got their structures in place. Sometimes I think they forget that actually you do need to always be thinking about, is my structure fit for purpose in a couple of years? What is it I'm planning for the future, and not forgetting that you need to develop those people, or you need to be thinking about the skills you need in order to continue building your team for the future. And I think sometimes you're so much in the detail of just running the business, it's, you know, they haven't got the time to stop and think about the future. So it is that. I think the other thing that some leaders forget to do is take care of themselves. You know, it's really important that they have space and time for their own well-being, and consider you can't just continue to work all out, you have to take time out. And it's also, I think, they forget that they can be vulnerable as well. You know, sharing that is a really good quality, not with everybody, but you might share it with some of your close senior team, that actually, you know, you have things that you're concerned about. And I think sometimes people think being a leader, you're not supposed to do that. But I think that shows great skill in a leader if they're prepared to share those things. I think some leaders forget that your people, you know, the people in your business is a huge cost to the business. And if you don't continue to think about how you develop them, how you ensure that they get out of bed and want to come to work for you still, that they're motivated, that there are differences around how people want their careers to be managed. Not everybody sits in the same box, in that nice square box. And I think sometimes leaders should be thinking that they can use other people around their team. It's not just down to them. It doesn't have to wait on them to do it. And giving people permission to just get on with things. And it's how you create that culture. And I think sometimes people in leaderships don't recognise how important it is to give people the ability and the responsibility and the accountability to just get on and do things. They don't have to come back and ask permission.
Sure. I mean, that's so interesting. And we're going to talk about some alternative working models and recruitment models. Let's maybe close with that statement that there's a need to give yourself space and some time to also think about your organizational culture, your talent pool, and how you bring that together as a leader. Sue, thank you for those short insights. And I know it was a very short little episode, but we look forward to chatting to you again.
Thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoyed it.